Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Asipin Kalisa, working for the Center for Postgraduate Studies. Welcome again to our weekly workshops, and also a warm welcome for those who are joining us for the first time today. Today's workshop is titled Searching Databases and Setting Up Alerts, more or less a postgraduate library orientation. Today, we are joined by 3 speakers or facilitators who will be taking us through the searching of databases and setting up of alerts. So they will be introducing all of us to the Rhodes University Library webpage and the new search all feature to search for information and resources in our library collections. They will also be touching on different topics, including my library account, interlibrary loans, an overview of some of the databases available in the university, such as how to create such alerts as mentioned, and how to use the institutional reference management software, which is Refworks. So the 3 speakers or facilitators that we have today are, firstly, we have Ms. Jill Otto, who is a Principal Librarian at the Faculty Services of Commerce and Law in Rhodes University Library, followed by Ms. Linda Cartwright, who is a Principal Librarian, Faculty Services in Humanities and Education. And lastly, we have Ms. Vuyelwa Thandiwe Menze, who is a Professional Librarian, and she is a Principal Librarian at the Faculty Liaison Services dealing with sciences and pharmacy. As we have 3 speakers, without wasting any time, I'll now hand over to our first facilitator, Ms. Jill Otto. Over to you, Ms. Jill.
Thank you, Asipe. Can I just go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please.
Well, thank you for that, Asipe, in the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity for us to present at the CPGS workshop this afternoon. Yeah, I'm Jill Otto, and my faculty services responsibilities are for commerce and law. So I'll be covering some of the parts of the library website, including my library account, research support, interlibrary loans, and how to use search all. So about the library website now, I haven't started from the landing page, but I'm sure everybody is familiar with that by now. Just wanted to point out the research support heading at the top of the screen, which is where postgraduates will find information that is useful to them, our contact details. You will see there's all kinds of information here. So these are all links for help, support, introduction to research, the research management tools. And I know my colleague Thandiwe will be talking about Refworks a little later. But please explore these in your own time. I'm not going to go into them now. I think it just becomes a bit of an information overload. I really just wanted to point out the research support link on the library webpage. So these are our contact details. So, you can always pick up on these later. I'm going to share the presentation with Asipe to distribute. So the first thing I want to have a look at is the My Library account, and just remind you that it's essential that all postgraduate students, or others as well, that actually set up their library account. So this is separate from your account, which comes through to the library from registration. This is your opportunity to set up your own library account, which links through to the institutional one. There are some self-service tools which you can use. But importantly, your logins provide you with off-campus access to the databases. And then, once you have created your logins, you can view the details of the books you have issued to you, see when they're due back. You can renew them before they become due, provided that the book hasn't been reserved from someone else or is already overdue. You can see your reading history. You can also create lists of books that you want to read at a later stage. You can note if you have any fines and be reminded to pay them. You can also reserve books that are currently on loan to someone else, and this is on Search All. And it also gives you access to interlibrary loans. So this is the library website, and this is where you would find your the login to your library account. You would click on that link over there, and you will see this box here. So if anybody has already set up their library account, this will look familiar. These are the steps to follow. So initially, when you're setting up for the first time, you just put in your surname and the barcode. So this would be your student number, but first a 6. So you will drop the G, you would replace it with a 6, and then the rest of your student number, and then click submit, and then follow the instructions on the next screen to create a PIN. So if you have any problems at this point, or you get an error message, please just contact the staff at the Learns desk on level 1. Their contact details are on the library webpage in the staff directory. You can just give them a call or come to the library in person and they will help you. But it should be a straightforward process. And then under the services heading on the library webpage, you will see interlibrary loans. In fact, it's also in the link on the right-hand side when you're on the library webpage. So as postgraduate students, you can request interlibrary loans. So this means that if you are wanting a particular book or journal article and you don't have access through the library, so we either don't have the book in our library, or we don't have access to a particular journal you're looking for where the article is, you can request an interlibrary loan. So once you click on that link, you will then go through and select either book or journal article, whichever, or chapter of a book, whatever the case is of the item you're looking for. And thereafter, you will be asked to fill in your library account details. And once you've done that, you will receive a screen that will ask you to complete all the details of the item you're looking for. And when you submit it, it goes to the Interlibrary Loans librarian in the library, and she will source it for you at an institution elsewhere in the country. Books do have a cost because they have to be posted. I think it's around 40 Rand. So that you would pay when the book arrives and you collect it from the Interlibrary Loans office. If it's a journal article or anything else that can be scanned and emailed to you, there is no cost. But if you have any details, please contact the Interlibrary Loans librarian, who, as you can see here, the contact details are here. There's an email address. So what I'm going on to now is to introduce you to our new search or discovery tool. If anybody was at Rhodes last year, you will notice that it looks quite different this year. So we have a slightly different product. And so the way it operates is different as well. It's a search engine which searches across all the library resources. And so please use that for finding out what we have in the library. Also to alert you to the fact that we share this with all the 4 academic libraries in the Eastern Cape. So that's Rhodes, Nelson Mandela University, Fort Hare, and Walter Sisulu. So when you do a search on Search All, you will see results from all 4 institutions, or perhaps only from some of them, but you need to refine it to Rhodes thereafter. So I'm just going to show you a quick demo via this presentation. So sorry, just when you're on the library webpage, you will see the search all on the screen. So please use the advanced search option. And this is what you'll see. I've put in a search here for a book, Long Walk to Freedom, which I'm sure we're most familiar with. And there are options here to select whether it's a title you're looking for or an author or so on. So you need to select your relevant information there, type in your title, If it's an exact match, please select that. It will make the results better. If you're not sure of the title, then you could just select one of these other options there. Then, you then need to go down and select the content type. So you'll need to scroll to see the book or ebook option, and then you will click on search. So this is the results. Initially, there are more results, but the first thing you need to do, because I know there are initially 23 results, what you need to do is then refine it to Rhodes University, so that you can be sure to see what we have in the library here. Once you've done that, there are then 11 results, and then you will see that the book is there. That's a 22 edition, and so on. Once you click on available, you will also see here, even though we have refined it to Rhodes, what displays here is Fort Hare, East London. Some of the others might show NMU, Mission Vale, and so on. But as long as what you have refined it to Rhodes, what you see here just means that Rhodes also have the book. It's just that it's an alphabetical list there and you can't always see Rhodes. So the next thing you need to do is click on available. And this is the screen that you will be directed to. Here it tells you the location of the book in the library, so where it is on which floor. In this case, it's Humanities and Education books on level 3. You'll have the call number, so you know where to find it on the shelf. And then the status will show you whether the book is available or not. So on the day that I did the screenshot, both of these copies were available. Unfortunately, one has been lost and paid. But if one of these was checked out to somebody, you would then see a due date here. So that is how you know that there is one available on the shelf or more. So also you will see further information here if you want to search for more material by Nelson Mandela. You can just click on his name. These are all hyperlinks over here. So I thought also I'll just touch on accessing ebooks, because the process is absolutely the same as what I've just shown you. Except that you will, instead of seeing a book under the heading of underneath the title on the screen, you will see ebook, and it won't say available, it'll say full text online. So remember also you have to refine it to either items at my institution or Rhodes Library, whichever is visible on the screen, and then you will see which one has access for the Rhodes users. So you would click on the full text online link over there, and you'll be directed to this screen. So there's the book title and so on. You will see here Rhodes Patrons link to Ebsco ebooks. So this is where you would click for your ebook. If you are off campus, you will be asked to log in because you need to be authenticated as a Rhodes user in order to see our online material. And then you will be directed to the Ebscohost screen where the book is available. So this is what the screen will look like. You'll see the PDF option on the left. And then there's a table of contents further down on the screen, which wouldn't fit onto the screenshot. But you can then go to an individual chapter or whatever the case is if you want to see or read a particular chapter. I really want to emphasize and remind people to look at the publisher permissions and concurrent user level, because they're not the same for all the ebooks. These are dependent on what the publisher allows us to do. So this particular book, you may print, email, or save only 5 pages. There's also restricted in terms of copy and paste, and there's a restricted download. So those messages will pop up if you go beyond their permissions. And then the concurrent user level, we have 3 copies, which means that 3 concurrent users may have access to the book. So it could be that any book that you're accessing might, if it's out on loan to other people, then you will not be able to access it. It just means that you will have to come back and try at a later stage. And then the last thing I want to mention is the permalink on the right-hand side of the screen. So this is very important. When you click on that, it will pop up on the screen, and that is the link that you will copy for your referencing purposes. There are other ebooks. I mentioned Ebscohost now. The other platforms are also Proquest ebooks. We have ebooks via Springerlink, the Directory of Open Access Books, Taylor and Francis Publishers, the JSTOR database, Cambridge Open Access Books, and many, many more. So they're not all available on Ebscohost. So just be aware that when you access an ebook, it might come from another platform or one of these. And then because I've only touched on accessing books or ebooks via inour, these are just some guidelines for searching for either journal articles. If you have the title of the article, you can search for it on inour. If you want to search for journal articles by subject or topic, you can follow the guidelines here. And if you're looking for a particular journal title, there are also some guidelines on that. And there you will also see options to save, cite, email, or export citations. And that is all I have to do in my presentation this afternoon. So remember again, these are our contact details. And I don't know if there are any questions at this point, or would you like me just to hand over to Linda? Asipe?
Hi, thank you very much, Jill, for that presentation. I see we don't have questions as yet, but please, colleagues and friends, do pose your questions on the chats. I can now move over to Linda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Asipe. I'm going to stop sharing, and Linda will take up after me now with her presentation.
Thank you. That's fine.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Asipe. I hope this is showing to everyone now. I'm going to be doing a live presentation from our homepage, really just to draw your attention to the wealth of databases that we have access to. I'm sure you're all familiar with, Google Scholar, for instance, but I just want you to know that there is a huge range across all the disciplines that we teach at Rhodes. So I hope by the end of this short presentation, you'll have a better idea of what is available. So when you're searching for a database, a good place to go is under search on our webpage to databases A to Z. This, of course, only works if you know the title of the database, but that is a good starting point. And we'll go back to that. The other good access point is from the subject guides. Now we have subject guides for all the subjects taught at Rhodes. And these were sort of initially set up to help undergrads, but in fact, they're a very good guide for everybody to use. And there we have the guides listed. I'm going to go to all guides, and they are listed alphabetically. And for this demonstration, I'm just going to go down to one of my guides, which is School of Languages. So you see how many there are just by scrolling down to, and so I'm going to click on School of Languages. And on most of the guides, there is a tab that says databases and e-resources. And it's here that we have selected the resources that we think are useful for students studying that particular subject. So for instance, here I have selected the databases that will be useful for students doing any of the languages. And the reason we've done this is because we subscribe to so many, it's very confusing just to see them all listed. So this way we have selected the most appropriate ones for that particular subject. And you'll see here there are some of the ones you will know about, I'm sure: Ebscohost, Google Scholar, JSTOR, the Oxford resources, etc. I'm going to touch on a few of them over the course of the next few minutes, but I just wanted you to be aware of these access points through the subject guide. And, you know, for instance, with the School of Languages, I just want to point out some of the lesser known resources that you might not be aware of. And if some of you are you know, in this department, I would suggest come and have a look at in your own time to become familiar with some of these. For instance, the African Writers series is a wonderful online series to Heinemann's African Writers collection. There is this World Newspaper Archive. We now have series 1 and series 2. Again, wonderful resource linking to newspapers from the 19th and early 20th century, from across the continent. Fantastic resource. Gale Literary Sources, another really worthwhile resource. So do come and explore these in your own time. Sabinet, always a good one to remember, particularly if your research topic is South African or African in focus, a really good one to remember. And then also, if you're a journalism student, or not even just for journalism students, any students, Access Global News, fantastic resource to news articles from around the world, another really great resource to know about. Okay, so that's, you know, just to remind you to go and have a look at the subject guides. Very good starting point, and it's easy access because you just click on the blue links and it takes you into the various databases. I'm going to do that now and go into Ebscohost. This is a research platform that hosts a number of different databases, and I just want to go into that to show you some searching techniques. And I'm going to use Ebscohost as an example, but the searching techniques can be applied across the different databases. And as you use a variety of databases, you will see that each one has a slightly different look, but the techniques are fairly similar. Okay, now with Ebscohost, because it is a platform hosting a range of databases, you need to select the ones, the actual databases that you wanted to search. It defaults to Academic Search Complete, which is a really good multidisciplinary resource. So I would always leave that ticked. And now, for instance, if I'm doing language search, I would maybe, don't need business source, I would untick that and possibly select communication and mass media complete. But if you're going to use Ebscohost, go through and see the different ones that are available and select the ones you think are most appropriate. Okay, so I have selected 2 that I wanted to search across, and at this point I say continue. And here I'm going to select advanced search, and this is a good tip for any of the databases that you are searching. Always select the advanced search option. It gives you more flexibility with your search. And this search box comes up, and I'm going to put in a search for discourse analysis. And here you will see I use the inverted commas. And this is because I am searching for discourse analysis as a phrase. So I wanted to search for it as a phrase and not as separate words, because if it searches for it as separate words, it might pick up articles that have discourse in one paragraph and analysis in another, or on a different page, etc. Whereas I'm actually wanting it to search for the phrase. And here I change this to all text. And at this point, I'm going to just search for that. I'm not going to add another search term. But here, another good tip is always select where it says peer-reviewed or scholarly articles. This is because you want academic content. Okay, so let me search for that and see what comes up. Okay, and you see a lot of articles have come up, 45,000, over 45,000. And now here, you can come to the left-hand side and you can limit by date, which immediately takes that number down. You see, I'm just moving the bar along. And let's say I want the last, maybe 10 years. Let's just say, whoops, it's a bit fiddly and updating already. And it's taken it down a bit to 23,000. You can limit further by going to subject. And I found an interesting one earlier, which I thought was quite topical. So I'm just going to go under subject where it says show more. And you can scroll through and see what is of interest. And now I can't see it. Earlier today, I was looking through and I found Vladimir Putin. So that was quite a nice one to, oh, there we go. So I'm going to look for articles on discourse analysis and Vladimir Putin and see what comes up. Okay, so you see it's taken it down now from 45,000 to 11. And this is how you use the facets. That's these things on the left-hand side are called facets. And I mean, Jill was showing you as well with the search all, there are facets down the left-hand side of the page where you refine your search. And so we've refined it right down. And at this point, you know, you look through, find what's interesting to you, and you click on the PDF full text to read the article. Okay, now if, for instance, this was your research topic and you want to know about when new articles are published, because it's, you know, it's quite difficult to remember to search across all the databases on a regular basis to keep up to date with your search topics. This is where you can create an alert so that you will be notified every time something new on your particular topic is published. And to do that, now remember we're on Ebscohost, you can go to this, under the search box, it says create alert. And you click on that. And a box should come up. And here you create your alert. You can say you want to be notified once a week or once a month, etc. And you then save your alert. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want to receive emails. And you will then receive an email every time something new on your research topic is published. So it's a quick and easy way to make sure you are staying current with your research. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel that alert. That is how easy it is to create an alert on Ebscohost. Okay, so that is Ebscohost. I'm just going to go back to, just need to get back to the library. So go to the home page again. And here I'm going to go to, sorry, I want to actually go back to Ebscohost. I wanted to show you something more. So I'll just go from the database list. So under search, we're going to go to databases, A to Z. We're going to select E and going to go down to Ebscohost, search multiple databases, Rhodes. Okay, and click again, and we're back on Ebscohost. So this is just showing you can go from search on the website or from the subject guide. And again, I'll just select that and go in to my advanced search box. So I've shown you how you must always use the inverted commas if you are searching a phrase. And now I want to just show you how to focus a search. For instance, I'm going to take China, and again, I'm just selecting all text and say, and motion picture. Here I'm putting in inverted commas because it's a phrase. And again, I select all text and history. So I'm looking for articles on China that will contain the words China, motion picture, and history. And again, I'm going to say peer-reviewed and search. So I just wanted to show you that by using and, you are focusing your search because it will only find articles that have all three of those terms. So it will include China, motion picture, and history. And again, as mentioned before, here we can cut right down by using the date bar. So if, for instance, and I know the refining by date is particularly useful if you are doing a systematic review where you are specifically looking for items in a certain date range. So always remember, all these databases have ways to refine by date. And you see that's brought it right down to 942. And obviously you can refine further. But I just wanted to point out using these words here. So the and helps you refine and focus your research. Then I'm going to do another search. I'm just going to clear that search. And here I'm going to put in, I'm going to search for artists. But you'll see I'm only writing artist, and then I'm putting in a star, which is called a truncation, and it means it's truncated that word after the T. So my search is going to find articles that have the word artist or artists or artistic or artistically. So it's any word that follows on from artist, it will include in the search. And then here I'm going to put and, feminism, and then here I'm changing this to say or gender. And that actually expands your search because it's not being so narrow that I'm saying I only want articles that have artists and feminism. It's saying it can have artists and feminism or gender. Okay, and then here I see that the date is still limited there. It's from the previous search. It's kept it at the last 10 years or so, and I will search. And it's come up with a lot. And obviously here again, use the facets down the left-hand side to cut down on that number. I see there are quite a few in foreign languages. You can also find, refine by language and say you only want English, etc. So just play around with the facets and you will find ways of cutting down. You could also here, instead of putting gender, or you could have had both. I just want to show you another technique. And for women, you can put woman and then question mark before the N. And that means it will look for either spelling, either the singular or the plural of woman. So again, it is expanding your search and not restricting it. So there are little techniques that you can learn as you go about searching these databases. And then of course, just a reminder that if this was your topic, you want now to create an alert, that is where you do it. Okay, so that is Ebscohost. I'm just going back to the web page, and I'm going to do a Google Scholar search. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Google Scholar, but just to point out a few things on Google Scholar for you. And here you can access Google Scholar from the subject guide that I showed you just now, or from the search under databases A to Z, or from under I want to. Here it's access Google Scholar. And again, you would want to get use the advanced search option. So under the drop-down menu here, you go to advanced search, and it gives you this very nice search box. So here I'm going to put in corpus development. And here I'm using the inverted commas because it's a phrase that I'm searching for. And the next line you see says exact phrase, so I don't actually have to use the inverted commas because it's giving me it as an exact phrase. And here you see we can limit by date. I'm going to put 2012 to 2022, and I'm going to search. And you know, Jill was talking earlier about how important it is to have a library account. Now here, if you were searching for on Google Scholar and you were not on campus and you did this search and you had not logged into your library account, you would not see these blue links down the right-hand side. And that is because the system would not be recognizing that you are a Rhodes student because you would not have authenticated yourself. So that is why it is absolutely essential to remember to log into your library account if you are off campus and trying to access our electronic resources. And so here, if there is a blue link, that means we have access. You would then click on it and go to the PDF. I'm not going to open any of them now. Obviously, it's going to slow things down, but that is Google Scholar. Then here for Google Scholar, on the left-hand side, create alert. And it's the same sort of procedure as with Ebscohost. There's your search term, you put in your email, and you create an alert, and you will then be notified every time new material appears on Google Scholar that includes your research terms. Okay, so that's Google Scholar. Just back to our web page, and then just to say, please do explore our range of databases. We have such wonderful resources. You know, there is this new resource, Access Global News Bank, which I think I mentioned when I was on the School of Languages page. Do go and explore that. Jove, the Journal of Visualized Experiments, also a fairly new resource and very worthwhile having a look at that. There's also Proquest, Dissertations and Theses Global, which we've had for just over a year now, which gives access to thousands and thousands of theses from around the world. Maybe I'll just go into that one briefly. So here under databases A to Z, you go to P for Proquest, Dissertations and Theses Global, and click again. Really fantastic resource, wonderful way to find out who else is doing research in your field. You go and search on this resource, and it gives access from 1743 to the current date, theses published, theses submitted from to universities around the world. So really fantastic resource that you need to be aware of. There's also, of course, Proquest eBook Central, one of the ebook resources that Jill mentioned, and press reader, which gives you access to a wide range of newspapers and magazines from around the world. So do be aware of that. And we've covered the setting up the search alerts. I'm just checking on my notes to see that I've covered that. And just go back to our web page. And then also just to say under, let me go back to the subject guide. I think that will be a quicker way of showing you. Under School of Languages, under databases and e-resources. So just to mention, really good multidisciplinary resource is Scopus, and another one, Web of Science. Wonderful resources across the disciplines, so do be aware of those. Both of those two, when you've done your search, you can set up an alert. I'm not going to go into them now because the process is very similar to what I've shown you on Ebscohost and JSTOR and on Google Scholar. And then there's Sabinet, which is the South African database. There too, you do your search, you set up an alert so that you will be notified of anything new coming in. And that's really what I wanted to show you, just some searching techniques and how to set up your search alerts. And so at this point, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Thandiwe, who will be taking you through Refworks. So thanks very much, and please do contact me with any questions. And I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon, everyone. As my colleagues have mentioned, my name is Thandiwe Menze, and I'm the Principal Librarian for Science and Pharmacy. I'm going to be taking you through Refworks, how to set up an account, and how to navigate your way from exporting references from the databases into your Refworks account. Just to note that Refworks is an online bibliographic management system that Rhodes University subscribes to. You use it for exporting your references, for formatting bibliographies, and in-text citations. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you where to find the Refworks link on the library page. So when you're on the landing page of the library, you will scroll to the bottom, and under quick links, you will then go to the Refworks new version link. In order to create the account, you will then click on the Create Account button, which is just below the Login to My Institution. You will have to use your Rhodes University email address so that you are recognized as belonging to Rhodes University. If you are a student, this is how your email address will look like. If you're a staff member, you will then type in your staff email account. You will then click on the sign up button after creating a password and putting the password in the box over there. It will prompt you to sign in to activate your account. Okay. Once you have created your account, it is very important that you download 2 plugins or add-ins from your Refworks account. The first one will be the Save to Refworks, which is a plugin that you will put on your browser, as well as the Refworks Citation Manager, which is a plugin that you will use from your Word document. Once you have signed into your account, you will download these plugins. There are 2 ways of accessing the Tools tab. next to your name, on the drop-down arrow, you will click the drop-down arrow and you will have a list of functions that you can do. You will then click on the Tools button. This is the first plugin that you will install, the Save to Refworks. This goes on your browser, as you will see in the example on the right-hand side of the screen. Once you click on the blue tab, Install Save to Refworks, you will then be prompted to click on Save to Refworks. You will click and hold Save to Refworks and drag it up to your browser. The next plugin that you will install is the Reference Citation Manager. On your Word document, you will have to click on Insert, and then you will go to My Add-ins. On your Office account, you will then do a search for Refworks. You will have to sign into the Office software using the Rhodes University email account because it has to recognize you as belonging to Rhodes University. You will then search for Refworks on the Word document. When it appears, you will click on Add. Later on, I will show you when it sits on the Word document on the blue ribbon. But now I'm going to show you how to export from the Search All feature that my colleague Jill Otto spoke about. So once you have undertaken a search on the Search All platform, you will type in your keywords, conduct a search, and you will have the results. When you want to send an item, a bibliographic item, which includes the title, the author's name, date of publication, the place of publication, you will then click on the screen. On those icons, you will click on the third one, Cite this item. You will then be prompted to select the bibliographic management system that you would like to use. Because we subscribe to Refworks, you will then select Refworks. On top, you may or may not choose the output style, but that really doesn't matter because you will end up choosing the output style in your Refworks account. Once you've selected Refworks, you will then click on the Export button. And then your citation will be taken across to Refworks. You will be prompted to log into your account and you will proceed to do so. And it's now prompting us to take the export. You will click on Yes, Export to the newest version of Refworks. When you reach your Refworks account, if you have created folders previously, you will then be prompted to select the folder where you would like to store your citation. If you haven't created a folder, you will then click on the blue button, Import, and it will alert you that a citation has been sent across to your Refworks account. Now I will show you how to export from Google Scholar. You will want to sign into your Refworks account before beginning searches. On Google Scholar, you will then undertake the search query. You will get a list of results. I want to highlight that on my screen, you don't have that import into Refworks. So if you're using your laptop or your desktop, you will only need to configure this once. But if you happen to be using the public machines, either in the lab or the other computer labs, you will have to configure this every time you do a search. But on your own laptop and PC, you only need to do it once. So you will click on that menu bar. You will then go to Settings. And under Bibliography Manager, you will then select Refworks and then click Save. And you'll see the feature appearing, Import into Refworks. You will then click on Import into Refworks to send your citation to Refworks. and click on Yes, export to the newest version of Refworks, and your citation will sit on the Refworks account. Next, I want to show you how to move citations from Scopus, a database that my colleague mentioned earlier, a multidisciplinary database. When you click on Scopus, whether from the subject guide or from the list of databases, you will be prompted to authenticate. You will use the same logins that you use when accessing your emails or Are You Connected? And you will then proceed authentication. Once you have accessed Refworks, you will then type in the keywords that you want to search. You will then get a list of results. You will proceed to select the results that you want to send to your Refworks account. You will then click on Refworks Export. You will ensure that Refworks has been selected, and then you will click on the Export button. So this is a list of information that will appear on your Refworks account, the citation information. And of course, you do have the option of selecting additional information, but the citation information should suffice. And then you click on the Export button. And your citation will be taken across to Refworks. Now, from your Refworks account, I want to show you how to format a bibliography. So when you have citations in your Refworks account, you will select the citations that you want to format a bibliography. I've selected ones that I did earlier. You will then click on Create a Bibliography. And you will be then directed to this screen. Now, if it's your first time using Refworks after signing up, the output will be listed alphabetically, the one on top. You will then click on this drop-down arrow so that you select the style that you want to use, or you will just type in the style, do a search, and you should see a list of styles appearing. Then you will click on the Create Bibliography, and this is how it will look like. Okay. On your Refworks account, you have the option of creating folders. So if you are at different stages of your research project, you will want to create folders on the stage that you're on. So on the left-hand side of the screen, under the My Folder option, you will click on the drop-down arrow. You should see a list of folders that you've created previously. The values in the brackets tells you how many references are in that particular folder. To create a folder, you will click on Add Folder. You will then give your folder a name. Once you've given the folder a name, you will hit the Save button, and your folder will appear in your list of folders on the left-hand side of the screen. The folders are listed in chronological order, and the latest folder will be right at the bottom. You will see that the latest one doesn't have content in. Okay, and additionally, on your Refworks account, once you have created folders, you have the option of sharing folders. So if you are in a research group or you would like to share the folder with your supervisor, you can do so. There are two ways of sharing folders. You can share folders on an individual level, where you will have to put in the email addresses of people that you would like to share the folder with, or you can share the folder with the institution. This means that every person who is at Rhodes University will see the folder visible, and then they will opt to join the folder so that they can view the content in the folder. Moving on, once you have shared the folder with several people, the people that you are collaborating with will then receive an email telling them that a particular person has shared a folder with them. They will then click on the link so that they are directed to the folder that you have just shared with them. And just to add, people will have the option to either edit the folder or to view the folder. So you decide on the permissions. Okay, now I want to show you how to undertake or to do the in-text citation in your Word document. This is the Refworks Citation Manager. So on the Word document, okay. So on your Word document, on the blue ribbon, you will see the RCM. Once you have downloaded the plugin, you will then click on that RCM. You will then be prompted, or you will click on Refworks Citation Manager, and on the right-hand side, you will be asked to sign in. So you will use the same login details that you used when creating your Refworks account. Because Rhodes University subscribes to Refworks, you should be able to access the Refworks Citation Manager using your institutional logins. Okay, so in the Word document, when you are doing in-text citation, on the right-hand side, you will be able to view folders that you can select. When you have created folders and stored citations in the folders, you will be able to select the citations that you want to put in. Once you have selected the citations, you will then click on Insert Citation. But I just want to highlight that before you even begin including your citations, you have to enable that bibliography on, so that when you're busy writing up your document and you're inserting the citations, you can see the automatic inclusion of your citations in your reference list. Okay. And that is all for now. Thank you. We will take questions. I will then stop sharing my slide.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you so much for that wonderful training. I mean, I think it's a training, especially for someone like me who just joined the university, in understanding where to actually get resources. I'm looking at the chats right now, and I see that we have some of questions that were posed earlier, which I will then read and then give over to the speakers or facilitators to respond. One of the questions is, how does one register for a library when off campus, meaning perhaps how does one register for using the online library services when they are off campus and not necessarily using the edu room, so on and so forth. And then the second question is, will I be correct to think that we can use these searching techniques for search engines in general, like Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc.? And then how many books are staff members allowed to borrow from the library? And what is the maximum time they are allowed to keep the books? So for now, these are the questions, and then we move over to the second round. Also, just to remind the participants or people that are present here today that you may raise your hand to ask questions verbally, so that is allowed as well, or follow-up questions for those who have asked the questions earlier on. So I think I'll start with you, Sis Viela, if you'd like to respond to any of the questions, and then we'll move over to the two other speakers as well.
Okay, I see that my colleague Jill has answered the questions on Refworks. The first question that you asked, how many books can a staff member have? Staff members can have a total of 30 books. This would be staff members as well as postgraduate students, 30 books, and you can take them out on loan for 3 months.
Okay, thank you. I think if Jill would like to come in just to reiterate what has been said on the chats, and also to tackle the question that just came in, how is Refworks different from Medley? And then we'll call Linda as well to respond to how does one register for library online when staying off campus? And also the question of, would I be correct to think that we can use these searching techniques for search engines in general, like Google, Yahoo, and so on and so forth. Jill?
Thanks, Asipe. May I just answer the one about registering off campus, because that was in my section. If you are off campus, you can still go to the library website and click on log into my library account and set up your account. So whether you're on campus or off campus, it doesn't matter. You can just go in and set up your account from the library webpage. Obviously, you just need data or internet access. Sorry, the other question about Refworks or Mendeley. Well, I guess, Tandiwe, this is yours, but actually I can answer it. Refworks is a subscription that Rhodes subscribes to. So that's why we promote it and use it. Mendeley, we don't subscribe to, but there is a free version of Mendeley reference management tool. So people do have a choice. It just, I think, limits your amount of data and so on that you can put on it. I don't know if anybody, my colleagues, would like to add to that.
Yes, that is correct, Jill. Mendeley is free, but you can only do so much on Mendeley. To get the full benefit of Mendeley, you would have to have a subscription to it.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. I think some of the questions have been responded to. Just before giving to Dudu to ask a question, there's a question on the chats asking for an explanation of the term bullying. Is there anyone, colleagues, who would like to respond to that one? And then we'll give over to Dudu.
I'll respond to the question about Boolean searching, because I did explain a bit of that in my session. It's where you use the terms and or, and you can also use the term not. And it's well explained if you use a diagram of circles, and where they intersect is, for instance, the who put that up? Thank you. That's exactly it. Fantastic. Thank you, Tandiwe. That's exactly it. Yeah, there you go. Those are the Venn diagrams which explain where you use, and you are kind of focusing your search term, as I explained earlier. And then when you use or, you're expanding your search term, your search. And then not is also a way of excluding certain records. That's great. Thanks so much, Tandiwe. That explains it so much better than I can do verbally. So I hope that helps Legini, who asked that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Dudu, would you like to come in?
All right, thank you, Asipe. And I just want to thank you, the presenters, for the wonderful workshop. I think my lack of clarity is with Refworks. And then I wanted to find out, because as Tandiwe was taking us through, I mean, I went to Google Scholar, I was able to save it and put in Refworks, but now I'm not sure, do you go to Refworks or how do you get Refworks? So I just maybe wanted some explanation there, because I don't understand.
Oh, okay, so you mean how do you sign up for Refworks?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just share my slides again, or rather let me try and go to the library page and I will share from there. Okay, so on the library page, to create an account on Refworks, you will scroll to the bottom of the page. You will then click on Refworks new version.
Okay. So this is not through RU Connect. I must just go to the library page.
To the library page. My computer is a bit slow. Okay, let me log out. So once you've clicked on Refworks new version, you will then be directed to this page. On this page, you will click on Create Account, which is at the bottom.
Okay.
Click Account. You will then be asked to put your Rhodes University email account. So if you're a staff member, this is the email account that you would type. Then you would click on check. I won't do it because I already have an account. It then checks if you belong to Rhodes University. Once it authenticates that you belong to Rhodes University, it will then prompt you to put in a password. You'll then create a password, type in the password in the password box, and then click sign up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Clear.
Well, thank you so much, colleagues, and also, for the engagements, the questions that have been coming in the chats, and also thank you for voicing out your question. This has been really a very informative session, but just before announcing the more sessions that we'll be having from next week, and also closing off the session, do we have any other questions? I see there's one. Okay. Would you like to come in perhaps to ask a question? Mabasa? Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
It was about if I would be correct in saying that we could use the same search techniques like Boolean search, phrasing, and everything to be successful on Google, Yahoo, and Bing, like using those search engines in general. Like, would those techniques be useful on those platforms as well, like in just general searching?
Okay, colleagues, is there anyone who would like to respond?
I've never tried the searching techniques on any of those search engines. I don't know, Tandiwe or Jill, do you know?
No, I'm sorry, I don't. I just, I think normally, I would use them on Google Scholar, and that's what we're accustomed to using on the academic databases. But I mean, one can certainly try on Yahoo or one of the others.
I'm not
I don't know.
familiar
Maybe
with,
Tandy, where you might.
I'm not familiar with Yahoo and Bing, so I feel like I can't really.
Hi, Sis Tandy, would you like to come in?
Yes, if I've noticed that if I use Boolean operators on Google Scholar, then the results will be very different in the example of the handout that I usually use for students. So in the first example, I have just typed in keywords without using Boolean operators, and that was the results that I got. Now it means that even though I've expanded my search, it doesn't mean that the results that I get actually apply to what I'm looking for. So if I apply the Boolean operators and then it limits the results, which means that Boolean operators are effective in databases like Google Scholar to refine my results so that I am not overloaded with results that don't actually answer my queries. So that is what I have found, but I've only limited this to Google Scholar and not the other search engines. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tandy. I see that we don't have any other more hands. I'll just give a minute just to see if we have any other new message or hands. Anyone else would like to pose a question before we close the session? Going once, twice. All right, everybody. I'd like to, on behalf of everyone, and also on behalf of the Center for Postgraduate Studies, to thank you, Jill, Linda, and Tandy for gracing us with your presence, and also for sharing this training with us. It is a lot to take in, and I understand that there's a lot of people who are now anxious about forgetting a lot of things. The three facilitators have actually agreed to share their presentations with me. So as I'll be sending you the recording from today, I'll also be sending you the 3 presentations that were done today. So thank you so much for doing that. Also just remember that the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube page. I've sent out in the chats the name of our YouTube page for you to search on YouTube and also for you to subscribe so that you can see new videos as well as old videos that we have in terms of the workshops that we've conducted in the previous years. But another exciting news is that next week we are having 2 sessions, 2 wonderful sessions, starting with analyzing qualitative data with Prof. Chrissy Bowie from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the 23rd of March as our weekly Wednesday workshops. So that link will be sent on Monday. Please be on the lookout, and also just make sure that you are subscribed into our mailing list, which is the CPGS mailing list. The second exciting workshop is applying for grant scholarship, which will be done by Prof. Sue McKenna on the 24th of March. It is still in the same time as the one for the 23rd, which is 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. That will also be communicated soon as we are working on a blended approach, face-to-face, which is mask-to-mask, or online. So we'll be sending out those details next week. Do join us again. Also, thank you so much for being here and also for asking the questions that you did. Just remember to also click the link to evaluate today's workshop, share your insights in terms of how we can better add some of your ideas in our workshops. Thank you so much. Do have a great and a wonderful Wednesday further. Thank you.
Thank you, Asipe, and everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.